Well, a very pleasant greetings and salutations to the National Naval Officers Association family and chapters throughout the world. Hi, I'm Captain Rick Wright, United States Navy retired historian for the National Naval Officers Association, and this is NNOA, our weekly podcast presenting news, views, and historical perspectives of our incredible family members in the United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, United States Coast Guard, the Public Health Service, and the National Oceanographic Administration. Hi, brothers and sisters. Time for another incredible, thrilling, superstar guest. And today we have one. I'm telling you, this brother's resume is so long, man. I think it'll run from where I'm coming from, Syracuse, New York, all the way to Newport, Rhode Island. But he is fabulous. He is incredible. I just read an incredible article that was in one of his, alumnus newsletters down in Georgia. We'll get into that also. Hey, who am I talking about? I'm talking about Captain Milton Troy III, Commanding Officer of the Naval Services Command at the United States Naval Base, Newport, Rhode Island. And man, this is a big Army-Navy football weekend day. And also, we're still celebrating the greatness of Dory Miller. Hey, Captain Milton Troy III, superstar. How you doing, Captain? How you
Sir,
doing?
I don't know who you're talking about, though, but that was a great introduction right there, though. You make it sound like I need a cape on right now, though.
Oh,
thank
man,
you for
put
the
the
warm
cape
up.
on. Yeah. In fact, Dennis Nelson, one of the Golden 13, one of the first African-American naval officers, when he got his commission, he went down to the uniform shop, man, and got all the uniforms. He got the one with the cape, man.
Yes, sir. I remember that.
Like that. So fantastic. Well, Captain Troy III, you are an incredible leader. You at Newport, Rhode Island at the naval base there. But of course, you got your start down in a place called Mullins, South Carolina. Hey, Captain, what was it like growing up in Mullins, South Carolina, man?
Well, sir, thank you again for this opportunity, though. And I'm glad that we're starting out with my roots, though. So full disclosure, sir, I claim Mullins, South Carolina. If anybody asks where I'm from, I would immediately say Mullins, South Carolina. But I am an Army brat. So I was actually born in Walter Reed Medical Center in D.C. But again, I was young, didn't remember that. We traveled to Fort Jackson, Fort Sam Houston, though. But Mullins is my home, and the reason why I talk so fondly about that place is that's where my family was, not just my mother and father, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, my friends. It was the foundation, I think, where I think that really defines who I am. Growing up and being able to be raised by my grandmother, when she would raise me and we would, she would call us in and we would have not lunch, but dinner. And, not no sandwiches, anything like that, though. It was neck bones and rice, fried chicken, field peas, and all that stuff. Absolutely, though. So that's kind of where I'm from, though. And then, growing around my grandfather, who was a deacon in the church, my namesake, Milton Troy Sr., though, and being able to see him and watch him in front of the church and watch him lead the congregation in a song or a prayer. And then also my other granddaddy, who was let's just say he was an entrepreneur. He owned a farm and picked up the old food from the grocery stores and picked that up and give that to the hogs. And I'd go around with him, making sure that the hogs had enough food to eat. But then again, at the end of the day, some of that food that he would pick up, it wasn't really that bad. And some of the neighborhood kids would come by and families would come by and get that, though. So for that entrepreneurial type giving spirit, I kind of learned all of that from them, though. And plus, again, my parents, again, I think, I can't remember exactly which of the Golden 13 that talked about, that the Navy made them an officer, but their parents made them a gentleman.
Yes.
And that's kind of where I hold that too, as far as my mother and my father. My father, again, is a retired lieutenant colonel in the Army. And him and my mother is for the first half of my childhood, she stayed at home and then became an employee at the school district. But they had their vision that when they retired, when my dad retired, to bring us back to Mullins to help shape the foundation to make us truly the adults that we are grown up to be. And so, being the oldest boy from Peggy and Milton Troy, I have two younger brothers though. Again, Mullins has been that foundation. Again, it's maybe about 5,000 folks there, but I love it. Again, when people ask me, I automatically say Mullins, South Carolina, and then the initial response is, "What's a Mullins?" Because they think it's a fish or something or anything. I don't know, but I'm determined to keep saying it because I want folks to understand that was the place that made me the man that I am, and I will never forget where I came from.
Well, I tell you what, to all the great folk down in Mullins, South Carolina, this is NNOA, Captain Rick Wright here, and Captain Milton Troy III, the superstar of Mullins. That means you can run for mayor when you get everything you need.
Slow down.
But of course, you went to Mullins High School. You did graduate from high school, being an Army brat, running all over the world with your father and your mom.
Yes,
oh my God, you ended up in the Navy, but we'll get into that. By the way,
yes,
the Army-Navy football game day today also, and they are playing at West Point. Navy's got to go there, but we'll get into it a little bit later. Now, Mullins, South Carolina, Mullins High School. Hey, neck bones and rice. Why didn't you bring that up this morning? I'm loving it, man. My grandmother, Reuben Wright III, who is the executive director of our program, his great-grandmother, Mrs. Annie Collins Wright of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, could put together some neck bones and rice. Oh my God, and black-eyed peas. Let me just shut up, Captain, and get back to you. Now,
well, I tell you, Molly Bethea would have gave her a run for her money, though. So I'll just say
God,
that.
I'm telling you. You're talking about the exciting life, though, of a young African-American male growing up with a great family backing you up, laying a foundation. And of course, in that area, you're leaving Mullins High School. Hey, Captain Milton Troy III, Morehouse College, Atlanta, yes, Georgia, one of our super HBCUs, especially for African-American males. Hey, how did Morehouse come into the fabric of your educational life?
Well, sir, I will tell you, I was first introduced to the concept of Morehouse probably my freshman year of high school, though. I can't recall. Maybe I was reading a book and talking and learning about different alumni, folks like Martin Luther King Jr., Maynard Jackson, talking about famous presidents of Morehouse like Benjamin Mays. These were, just reading about these folks and understanding what it meant to be a leader in today's society. And I told my folks early on, I said, hey, when it comes to college, I know I want to go to an HBCU, but at the top of my list is Morehouse. And so I would say maybe the fall of my senior year, I can't recall exactly what time though, we took a trip to Morehouse. And at that point, it was one of many trips. It was scheduled, we were going to go to Morehouse, Howard, Hampton. Those were kind of the ones, the HBCUs that I really wanted to consider. And so first was Morehouse, and I sat down with the admissions director. And I will tell you, he blew my mind away, my folks' minds away. It was a wrap. And from then on, I knew I wanted to go to Morehouse though. And my father, my parents, my mother, they asked me, hey, do we still need to go to Howard or Hampton? I was like, you can go if you want to though, but I made up my mind, so it was Morehouse all the way. And when I talk to young folks that are considering Morehouse, the first thing I ask them is, okay, yeah, you can go to college anywhere. If you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a business, entrepreneur. Yeah, there are plenty colleges, there are plenty HBCUs that you can go to. There's only one place you can be a Morehouse man. So you make the decision. Do you want to do that and not be a Morehouse man, or do you want to do that and be a Morehouse man? For me, being a Morehouse man was always important. So, and then going through that process though, again, my dad is a retired lieutenant colonel. South Carolina State grad as well too, though. And
Bulldogs. Oh.
Yes, sir. Go Bulldogs, though. So, and he was in ROTC.
Yeah.
And he put early in our minds that, hey, you're going to go to ROTC. And so when it came time to try to apply for ROTC, there was an Army opportunity and a Navy opportunity. But at the time, the Navy deal had a little bit more money. My dad said anchors away. And,
Anchors away.
And didn't worry about, the Army or, or who or anything like that, though. So if that was going to, the path to get me into Morehouse and to keep some money in his pocket as well, too, he was all for it. Everyone was all for it. And the rest is history. That's
everything, and the rest is history. Hey, Captain Milton Troy III, got a little story for you. When I graduated from P.W. Moore High School in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, I had a scholarship offer from guess what college? Morehouse College. And of course, I never forget the day when our great principal, Mr. C.R. Page, was reading out all the seniors that were graduating. But of course, I had a local incredible university in my hometown, Elizabeth City State University, and Dr. Walter Nathaniel Ridley, who was president of Elizabeth City State, who was the first African-American, by the way, to receive a doctoral degree from a Southern university, the University of Virginia, when things were still segregated in 1953, was my big mentor, and said, no, you're not going to go to Morehouse. You're coming to Elizabeth City State. But yes, I had a scholarship to Morehouse, and that was back in the 1960s. Hey, by the way, Maynard Jackson was my housemate at North Carolina Central University. I never forget the day when Maynard, a graduate of North Carolina Central's law school, undergraduate, of course, at Morehouse there in Atlanta. His aunt, by the way, was the chair of the home economics department at North Carolina Central University at Durham. But I never forget that day in August of 1965, Maynard pulled up to the house that we had with a brand new 64 Bonneville Pontiac with a U-Haul hooked to it. And he knocked on the door and he came and I saw him. He said, Roosevelt, I'm headed back home. And he said, I think I'm gonna probably work for the government. I never forget that day. Maynard Jackson became mayor of Atlanta, but that's another story. Now, you majored in money, right? Business administration at Morehouse College.
I did, sir.
What was that academic experience like? And in the meantime, you are now a great midshipman with the Naval NROTC program at Morehouse. That's that crosstown program with all those other Atlanta universities like Georgia Tech too, isn't it? Tell us about that experience there, and of course, working in and to graduation and getting your commission. What about those quick 4 years there of being a business administration major and a midshipman? What was that experience like, Captain?
Sir, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing, though. I tell you, the business department at Morehouse, I would say, is neck and neck with any great business school, whether it's Wharton, whether it's Harvard. It does not matter, though. So they definitely challenged us. My concentration was actually marketing, which kind of, it's kind of sad to say I haven't really used that in the Navy per se, but the business core competencies of business, I mean, it's something I've been able to build upon throughout my career, though. So just, going through that particular curriculum, the Morehouse experience as a whole, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Whether it was freshman year and, going in and going through freshman week and meeting all new people, folks from the other side of the country and outside of the world and all that, though, I'm just a old country boy, I don't know much, I felt like, the song, Stevie Wonder song, big city, skyscrapers and everything, I was amazed, though, to see all these different people and all of that, though. So that whole Morehouse experience was absolutely amazing. And I'll be honest with you, also thought-provoking as well, too, though. So keep in mind, I got there fall of 1991. If you do your history, what happened spring of 92? The Rodney King verdict.
Yes.
And just so, again, so the social unrest that I experienced there, too, though, I mean, is, again, college is a place where you're kind of trying to find yourself, though. So being able to, the highs and the lows of that college experience was absolutely amazing, though. So I wouldn't trade it for the world. My class of 1995, is probably, I would argue, probably one of the most phenomenal Morehouse and Spelman classes, because we kind of, share that common bond, Spellhouse, though. I mean, we've got some great leaders that come out of that class, Cedric Richmond, Stacey Abrams, just out of that class alone, though. So it was a phenomenal experience, though. Being a midshipman, I tell you, I enjoyed it. We went through our ROTC, had the days where we wore our uniform. When it came time for the ball, in our choker whites, we'd walk across the yard and go over to Spelman to pick up our dates. And yeah, it was, and walking into the gate, over Spelman, and all the eyes were turned like that, because we were in our choker whites, just clean as we wanted to be, though. So no, I have very fond memories of my Morehouse and experience. Engaging with Spelman and Clark Atlanta University and Morris Brown, all of those right there together, though. The unit, our battalion, is still strong today. Again, so yes, we were connected with Georgia Tech, though, but we have our separate battalion, and so the camaraderie that we had within just that AUC Morehouse Navy ROTC unit is still alive and well. I talk to my alumni brethren and sisters all the time. So it was an amazing experience. But back to being a business major, when it came time to pick what designator I wanted to be, for me, it was simple. If I'm a business major, and at that time, Supply Corps was available to us, I was going to raise my hand and say, I want to be a Supply Corps officer now. And for me, it's been the best decision I've ever made. Join the Navy as a Supply Corps
officer, yes, handling the money, disbursements, and all that good stuff. Hey, by the way, our incredible Executive Vice President of the National Naval Officers Association, if she's watching this, she's smiling in heaven because she's a Spelman College graduate. I'm talking about Captain Simonia Ridley, blushing game, and that great Atlanta story. By the way, about the time, I said one of my favorite students here at Syracuse University in the Newhouse School of Public Communications, where I was on faculty for close to 40 years, was a great disc jockey in Atlanta. Mike Roberts. Mike was morning announced on V103 in Atlanta, and boy, he lit the town up. It's like he got rich and ended up buying a bunch of radio stations down in Georgia. But I'm thinking about Mike Roberts talking about all the men of Morehouse College, and of course Spelman and Morris Brown and all the students that would call into the radio station V103 in Atlanta. Now,
yes, sir.
You got those children white. Yes, go ahead, Captain.
I'm sorry, because Simonia was, I think she was a senior when I got there.
Okay.
And we were on the yard at the same time, though. So got there. She was definitely a leader amongst leaders, and so we all looked up to her, though. So it's good to see her in the position that she's in right now. So yes. Okay. It made sense to see her in a leadership position.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's the story of HBCUs, especially those ones in the big ATL, as they call it. Also, another thing happened around that time, too. There's a fraternity. Isn't there a fraternity called the Omega Psi Phi fraternity?
Yes, sir. Well, I will tell you this, though. So I actually pledged graduate chapter later on.
We'll get into that later on, but still with all the brothers of Omega Psi Phi fraternity of the United States Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Public Health Service Administration, the Oceanographic Administration, and everybody checking it out. Friendship is essential to the soul. Two Omega brothers on the air today as we celebrate. This is NNOA, our weekly podcast, and I'm Captain Rick Wright, and today our guest is Captain Milton Troy III, Commanding Officer of the Naval Services Command at Newport, Rhode Island. Now, you got the choker whites, you got that dynamite uniform, you're looking good, you got the ensign commission, and the Navy says, okay, let's get ready for Hayes Grade underway. After you finished at Morehouse, did you go straightly to Norfolk to ship or command?
No, sir. I actually went to Athens, Georgia to go. Yes, sir. So I went to the Supply Corps school there, and that's where they teach you, everything from dispersing to food service to ship store operations as well as supply management, though. And so I completed my time there, and then my first ship was out of Norfolk, the USS Normandy CG-60. And that's where I started out as as what's affectionately known as DISBO. So it's dispersion officer, and so and then as well as sales officer as well. And then midway through that tour, I actually switched over to be the food service officer on the USS Normandy.
Now, the Normandy's a cruiser, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Aegis cruiser, CG-60 does that. It's still out there too.
Now, okay, by the way, hey, Captain Jerome Davis, DC chapter of NNOA, he's been doing this because he went through also the Supply Corps and the Supply Corps Basic Officer Course at Athens, Georgia also. Hey, while you aboard the Normandy, y'all taking the nice cruises to the Med or cruise around the Atlantic or going down through the Panama Canal somewhere?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So first, doing those Caribbean ops, doing that, getting ready for that big deployment over to the Med. So yes, sir. I've done everything from St. Thomas, St. Croix, St. John's, all the way to the Med, stopping in Spain, Italy, France, and then going through that Suez Canal, that big ditch, to get to the Arabian Gulf, though. And during that time frame, that's kind of where everybody ended up as far as their deployments go. That were at least on the East Coast of. So I spent a lot of time there, whether it was Jebel Ali, Bahrain, pulling into those different ports. So again, country boy, seeing the world, though. So it was a great time.
What a story. Mullins,
yes,
South Carolina. And all of a sudden, we run up to Morehouse College, get an undergrad degree and commission in the United States Navy. Then we go to Officer Basic Course, Supply Corps, your first ship, and my God, you end up sailing all over the world on board the USS Normandy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, I just want to indicate to the audience, the dispersing officer, y'all got that now, right? Dispersing officer. What's the big thing that happens on the 1st and the 15th? I think now it's called payday. That's when, you get a little bit of cash, the dead presidents on those dollar bills, $100 bills, 50s, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Milton Troy III. At that time, were you Lieutenant JG on board
I got there as an ensign.
Okay.
And so I got there as an ensign, and I left there because I was on there for a while. But I left there as a brand new lieutenant. So it was a long tour though. But yes, sir.
Well, the key thing I want to indicate though, in this particular case, you're in your early 20s, and the responsibilities that you got, you were never gotten those kind of responsibilities out in the corporate world or with some company or whatever. I mean, the responsible for handling big monies, ordering stuff for the ship, and all the other good. Now, after you leave the Normandy, that's Norfolk, Virginia, Thimble Shoals Channel, the Elizabeth.
Yes, sir.
Did you go to you went back to another ship, didn't you, after the Normandy, right?
Actually, before that, I went back to Supply Corps School to be an instructor.
Okay,
yes.
You got more education here.
Well, so the way I put it, the Navy said, yeah, we may need to give them a little bit more remediation though. So why don't we send them back to Supply Corps School to teach? To reteach what he learned. Now, mind you, I did well on my first ship though. But now that was kind of the joke I tell folks when I go back to be an instructor though. But no, so I went back to Athens as an instructor. I was a food service instructor, but I also taught leadership and management. But then towards the latter part of that tour, I was the educational counselor. And the best way I can describe that is I was the guidance counselor for all of the ensigns coming through the BQC. And so I was the one that welcomed them their first day, tracked as far as, their academic performance, make sure they was on track, and worked with the detailers to slate them to the right platform that they were going to go. Great tour. So, yeah, I mean, it was instructor duty, and I loved it. And the latter part, being the educational counselor, just being constantly with them, their highs and their lows, it was absolutely great. So. And then, okay, yes, sir.
No, I just want to say, what an incredible, role modeling that's happening here. Hey, Captain Troy, when you went on board the Normandy, how many other African-American naval officers were on board when you went on board the Normandy?
When I checked on board, there was one, and he was on his way out, and that was the chaplain. And so for a while, I was the only one. And I will tell you that, and again, everybody's got their similar story though, but
Yes.
being the only one, having so many people look up to you at the deck plate level, it was at times, kind of overwhelming, in a good way. It got to the point where I'm always being asked to do reenlistments for folks that are not even in my division because they looked up to being the only one. Now, over time, and again, this was between 96 and 99, we started getting a little bit more. So so the numbers grew. But when, at that time when I got there in 96, it was just me though. But by the time I left, there were about 4 or 5. I'll say that though. So
Trailblazers, keeping the faith and the legacy of the Golden 13 alive. Now you leave Athens, Georgia, and you head back to another ship. You get on one of those 963 class destroyers, the Spruance class destroyer, and you were on the lead ship of the what we call those 963 class destroyers, the Spruance, and you surfaced. Now the Spruance, where's she based in? Maybe what was she based at the time you joined the USS Spruance destroyer?
So that was based out of Newport, though. But I forgot to tell you, while I was in Athens, two great things. Actually, three things happened. Okay.
Lay it on us.
Okay. So, and it doesn't quite say in my bio though. So one, I was able to get my MBA from University of Georgia.
Oh, and so, the Bulldogs, Georgia.
Yes, sir.
In between
yes, sir.
the edges. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So they had a program that was called 810 Alpha at the time. And that was where, if you were on staff at the Supply Corps School and you had a business degree, then you can go to University of Georgia for 1 year to get your MBA. So I was able to do that. So, so that was a phenomenal opportunity, being able to focus to get my MBA. So again, top tier school at the time, and still is to the, Terry College is pretty up there though.
Yes. And by the way, hold that point, because before we complete our incredible discussion on This is NNOA with your host, Captain Rick Wright, United States Navy retired historian for NNOA, and our guest today, Captain Milton Troy III, United States Navy captain. He did University of Georgia looking after him, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll take finish up today because I read a phenomenal article that was written on Captain Troy at the University of Georgia. We'll get to that a little bit later, but right now he leaves and he heads to get that MBA, and now he's surfacing in Mayport, Florida.
Whoa! There's 2 more things that happen. I got to put in there, though, sir.
See, I'm a double Navy captain, boy. Poor guy. Let's read the first point. Now, what is that second point? Let's go over. Let me shut up.
The second thing is, we talked about Omega. That's when I pledged Omega Psi Phi, Zeta Beta Beta chapter, Athens, Georgia. Though. So it was a long time coming, but yeah, I was able to join the Brotherhood, and it's been great ever since. Though that was, so that was the second thing that happened.
Becoming a man of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity, Morehouse grad. Oh my God!
Yes, sir.
Instructor there at the Navy Supply. Oh my God, this story is getting even more incredible. I know it's incredible, but it's going to spectacular zenith heights here. Now we look at your career, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
And the third thing, and the third thing that I have to point out is the birth of my first son, Milton Troy IV. So yeah, that's when I became a father though. So so me and his mother aren't together anymore though, but he was conceived out of love, and that changed my life.
Life is still wonderful. All right, by the way, today's program is being produced and directed by Roosevelt Reuben Wright III, who is my son, who's a graduate of Syracuse University and presently doing his master's degree at Syracuse in the famous SI Newhouse School of Public Communications. Now, we're going to show up at Mayport.
Okay, now we can go to Mayport. Yes, sir. Yeah.
River, Naval Air Station, Jacksonville, Naval Base, Mayport. I used to cruise out of the Mayport base on ships headed for the United States Navy Great Lakes crews back during the 1980s and the 90s. Those FFGs, those guided missile frigates tied up
Yes, sir.
Newport. But now you show up on the Spruance. I love those Spruance class destroyers. By the way, I spent some time on the USS CAPT Roosevelt, which is a sister ship to the USS Spruance, 974 on a cruise out of, I tell you, that's some other time. Let me get out talking about that. How was it on board the USS Spruance for you? Where, again, dispersing officer, supply corps officer on board that ship, right?
Well, yeah, this time, you know, I'm the department head this time, though. So
Oh,
before,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so before I was a division officer, now I'm actually the department head. So,
okay.
You know, I'm reporting directly to the CO and XO on a daily basis. I would tell you, in a naval career, how your experiences build upon each other really helped prepare me for that task of being SUPO. I would tell you again, it was an old ship when I got there, and so when it came down to ordering parts, you know, because like if anyone that's familiar with being on the ship, you have your 8 o'clock reports, and for me, you know, all of the parts for all the different CAS reps, it was multiple pages, you know, to keep that old ship, you know,
keep it going.
Keep it going. But we did very well. The crew was phenomenal. I still have department heads that I still keep in contact with to this day. And again, we were able to make a deployment back to the Med. We also did some operations in the North Atlantic, you know, with Britain, Scotland, Ireland, all of that stuff, though. So great tour. Really learned a lot. And it was, again, being a division officer, you do get leadership experience, but when you're a department head, it's just elevated. And it really was built upon the foundation as far as what I call the leadership development throughout the career, though. So totally enjoyed it.
For command. That's the key thing in the United States Navy, and it happened also. Hey, by the way, the Chang, the chief engineer on the Spruance, he was burning step every day with the ordering parts to keep those LM-2500 gas turbine General Electric engines running, I'm sure, because of that time. When I was on board the CAPT Roosevelt back in the 80s, when they were brand new, those 963 class destroyers, I was fascinated with that pneumatic system for flushing the heads on those ships.
Oh, yeah.
It's like flush it was like an air system, and it felt like an atomic engine exploding or something. Oh,
yes, sir.
All you Navy folks, you should say, "Come on, Captain, shut up, get back to Captain Williams."
No. I mean that what you described pretty much illustrates the life aboard a DD 963 class destroyer, though, Spruance class destroyer. So yes, I have fond memories of that, though. So, but it was, you know, working with Chang, it was, you know.
Yeah,
it was interesting, though, but we made things happen, though. So.
And we talk about the chief engineer on board the USS Spruance. Our guest today is Captain Milton Troy III, commanding officer of the Naval Services Command, Naval Base, Newport, Rhode Island. And now, after the Spruance, things going to get even more interesting in the United States Navy for you. Captain, what's the next step for you? You stepped off the Spruance class destroyer, the USS Spruance.
So as we all go through negotiating orders, you know, you're talking to the detailer, you know, they have that detailing triad, the needs of the Navy, the needs of the career, and the needs of the person, whatever. So I remember calling the detailer, and she said, Milt, at this point, I was selected for lieutenant commander. He said, so you're selected for lieutenant commander, you've got your master's degree, but you've never been overseas.
Oh, here it comes. Alrighty.
Pick one. and she was not budging. She was not budging at all, though. So I decided to go to Kuwait for a year to work with the Office of Military Cooperation, Kuwait, though. So basically what that is we were the military element of the embassy in Kuwait. I'll be honest with you. Before going there, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. The training leading up to that, you know, we were learning about foreign military sales. I did some training down in Fort Bragg as far as for how to survive in a country like that, you know, defensive driving and all of that, though. But I would tell you, from a quality of life And just a cultural perspective, it was by far one of the best tours I've ever had. It was 1 year. I lived out in town. I had an elaborate, villa
Wow.
all to myself.
In Iraq,
Marble floors. Kuwait.
Kuwait.
Yeah.
Oh, Kuwait. Oh, gosh,
Kuwait.
yes, Kuwait.
Yeah,
Kuwait.
yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
student here at Syracuse who was from Kuwait many years ago, and she told me the beauties. She was from, I think, the royalty side. And
Exactly.
you were living large, come from Mullen, South Carolina. I'm talking about Iraq, talking about Kuwait and all that oil money.
Man, I tell you, it's funny if you say that though, because my mom was not excited about me going to Kuwait at all.
Yes.
She was like, no, I don't want my baby going over there though. We don't know what's going on.
Yes.
And I got over there and I called home and she was like, oh, I ain't worried about you. All right, here's a list of things I want you to get me. You need to get me some gold. I need to get some suits made and all that though. So that quickly, that worry quickly went away though, because it was an amazing experience. My office was literally right down the hallway from their equivalent CNO, Chief of Naval Operations. So I was literally right down the hallway from them, and I was in charge. I was their logistics advisor. So
logistics
for them.
advisor in Kuwait
To the Kuwaiti Navy. To the Kuwaiti Navy.
To the Kuwaiti Navy. What an assignment. Mullen, South Carolina, brothers in Kuwait living like a prince. I'm loving it.
Exactly. I really did live like a prince though. It was absolutely amazing though. So it was it was so, because again, I'm over there.
Yeah.
I'm living alone. I got my own car and everything like that. And then every now and then I'd go on Camp Arab John, with the military base. So and of course the bros was there, so we fellowship together. And it was an amazing time. I literally cried on the airplane ride back home because I didn't want to leave.
You did not want to?
I did not want to leave. I did not want to leave. But I knew if I stayed, my military career would have been over. You can't spend too much. It's a touch and go type tour. Because I would have been off track there. So, but no, Kuwait was an amazing tour. Just learning the culture, the language, just hearing how they think. Because again, I'm sitting down with Kuwaiti officers and learning from them, and they're learning from us. So it was an amazing tour that I don't think that any type of education you could have gained from. Just to live there on the economy and just it was, again, this was not an individual augmentation. This was a PCS order still, so permanent changes of station. So and I would, again, if knowing what I know now, would I do it again? I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat. It was amazing, and I recommend to anybody, if you haven't lived overseas, if you get the opportunity, do it.
Okay. Hey, Reuben Wright III, who's the executive director of This Is NNOA. Hey, Reuben, you heard it, didn't you? Brothers live like a prince, man, over in Kuwait. Compliments of the United States Navy, naval officer, man, and of course, didn't want to leave.
I didn't want to leave. I literally had tears coming down my face on the airplane ride back home. It was
Kuwait. Oh,
yes, sir.
Advisor to Kuwaitian Naval Operations. Well, tears are in our eyes as they hit on that turbo jet, whatever you're leaving to take off. You're headed back to the States and you land in the United States. What happens next in this exciting naval career, Captain Milton Troy III?
I left Kuwait in February. Now, mind you, got to think about the temperature there.
Yes.
At that point, it's hot, but maybe like in the 80s, whatever like that. So in February of 2006, I land in Providence, Rhode Island.
Snowing.
And snowing. So those same tears on the plane now are frozen because it's cold and there's snow up to my knees. And I'm from Mullins. We get snow, maybe a millimeter of snow. We get the kids out of school. And now I'm walking in to the BOQ in Newport, and there's snow up to my ankles or almost to my knees, and I'm thinking, what did I land here? But again, I did a year up here as going through Navy War College, being a student. So I was able to get my master's in national security and strategic studies, going through Newport. So the Navy War College.
You go from Kuwait, the beauties of Kuwait, living like a prince, and you land in Providence, Rhode Island, take the car and you go down to Newport. It's the wintertime. Hey, by the way, we're broadcasting from Syracuse, New York, Marcellus, New York, in the suburbs of Syracuse, where we know about snow. Big lake effect snow. I mean, we talking inches, and a typical winter here can really give us the #1 city in the country, the Snowball Award. What do they call it for the biggest city in America get the most snow? But we love it, upstate New York, Syracuse. But man, I've been crying too, man, after leaving Newport. Now, did you realize when you were at the Naval War College at Newport that one day you would return in the position that you're in now?
Never. I'm so glad I didn't bet anybody though, because I would have lost all my money though, because I never would have thought I would have lost money though. So, but no, yes sir.
So then we picked up the master's degree in national strategic study. We got all kind of great majors there. In fact, I love Newport, man. In fact, I addressed the whole command at the Naval Base Newport, the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Annual, back in January. I got to think of the date, and I can't get it real quick. I'm an old guy, can't think quick. I used to could, but I'll give it to you. But I addressed the whole command at Newport a number of years ago. It's had to be over, my God, over 25 years or so ago. But I remembered it fondly, and also all those days of cruising into Newport from my duties as public affairs officer running Navy Great Lakes cruise operations. And Newport would be our stop after having spent all summer in the 5 American and Canadian Great Lakes, all those FFGs. And we were pulling to Newport at the end of August, and Newport was not snowing then. It was hot. All those millionaires with the yachts, the place was rocking. There was some club called the Candy Store and the Black Pearl down on the pier.
Oh yeah.
And one time I went in there, and some of the young ladies were looking like they stepped out for a movie set, looking around saying, "Oh my God, this is a target-rich environment."
I'm glad you brought that up, because again, I got there in February, but by May, June, I was fine. Newport was all right with me though. So and of course the Newport Jazz Festival.
Jazz Festival.
Oh my God. The year that I was here, I think they had Al Jarreau, George Benson on the bill, Arturo Sandoval. Oh, it was amazing though. So again, I love Newport. I do. I just don't like the cold. But,
cold weather. As a poor guy from Elizabeth City, North Carolina, never in my wildest dreams, but I would imagine that I would left the South and came north in an area where it is snow country. But of course, I've gotten used to it. Well, not really, but it does snow a lot. But it's beautiful in upstate New York.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, just the scenery here in Newport is absolutely phenomenal. And I would encourage anybody, if they had the opportunity to come, it's great. It's just, again, I just don't like the cold, but I'll deal with it though. So
now you get the master's degree from the Naval War College at Naval Base Newport, Rhode Island, and the Navy says, "Okay, Captain Milton Troy III, we got more excitement for you." What's the next level of excitement in your naval career after leaving Naval War College for that master's degree?
So from there, the Navy said, well, let's send you to Central Pennsylvania, Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And I knew where Mechanicsburg, because again, I'm a supply corps officer. Whenever you do requisitions, that's one, the Naval Inventory Control Point is one of the things that you have to put on your requisitions note. So I was assigned to the Naval Inventory Control Point in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. And that is where, I would say that supply corps officers really learn the true essence of supply chain. So while there, I was assigned to the nuclear reactor director. So we handled all the nuclear reactor supply chain, whether it's for submarines or for aircraft carriers. So that whole from end to end, acquisition to and managing the supply chain of all those nuclear reactor parts. That's what I was in charge of though. So now mind you, I didn't really have any nuclear reactor experience. I didn't do a sub, I didn't do a carrier. But it was one of those things where, okay, hey, we got a spot for you though, but we got to put you here. I was like, well, I can read. So I can figure it out though.
But also, you are checking all those boxes that a true, incredible naval officer must check as you move
Absolutely.
to incredible levels of rank and authority and command in the Navy.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
hey, that Morehouse education is paying off, huh?
Yes, it did, sir.
That
Yeah.
University of Georgia education is paying off, huh? That
Yes,
naval
yes, sir.
workout at college stuff is paying off. Now, out of now you've learned the whole logistical story where all the bodies are buried in the supply corps with regards to the Navy. And the Navy knows you got all this information and your wonderful cognitive ability of your physiological being, Captain Milton Troy III. What are they going to do with you next? Been a dynamite brother officer too. What happens next when you leave Pennsylvania?
Well, here's the thing. Before I left, you got to remember what was going on. I got there in 2007, and I left there the end of 2009. But we had this thing going on in Iraq.
World conditions.
Absolutely. And so they were sending folks on individual augmentations.
Yes.
To go to Iraq. And so while I was in the inventory control point, I raised my hand, or was voluntold, I guess, though, that I needed to spend some time over in Baghdad. So I was assigned to Joint Crew Composite Squadron 1. And so to translate what that is if you remember in the height of the war, a lot of our assets were being attacked by improvised explosion devices, IEDs.
Yeah, IEDs.
Exactly. And so early on, I think the Navy was brought in because we had some electronic warfare officers that understood how to, I guess in layman's terms, kind of, try to jam these types of IEDs.
It wouldn't happen, yes.
Exactly, though. So they created this command called Joint Crew Composite Squadron 1, JIX-1, affectionately known, and I was assigned as the lead logistician for that command. And so I got there in February of 2009. And so now again, what I had in Kuwait, I didn't have in Iraq.
Oh, no, Fred. Man, hold it. I was living like a prince in Kuwait. Maybe it'll happen again in Iraq.
No, but it did not happen in Iraq. I had my, as we call the choose, trailer and everything. So, walking so many miles so many yards to go to the head and all that. So that was in the beginning. Eventually, I was able to get what we called a wet shoe, where you had a head in your shoe, though. But yeah, it was a great tour. But one of it was also it changed my life because I met my future bride.
I'm loving it.
So then Lieutenant Commander Troy meets Major Keisha McGriff.
Oh, the
United States Army. Yes. Yeah. So we have a house divided on multiple layers there. So, so I met her. It was not love at first sight. And that's a whole nother story where where you talk about the cold shoulder, it was like iceberg cold shoulder though, but eventually but eventually the Navy charm, won her over though. So, but again,
it always does. Yes.
It does. But again, over time, we became friends. And then, when we got back from Iraq, we decided to see where this would land. And so again, got married and, so got married later on though, but I met my war trophy. I met my best friend for life. And I had to go all the way to a combat zone
to find the lady of your dreams.
To find the woman of my dreams, the bride, my best friend, my wife, yes.
And she was a United States Army officer. Wow.
Yes.
Hey,
and so right now, and so she's actually a colonel right now.
Colonel, yes.
We'll
get to that also. Well, we got Army, Navy football today, everybody. In fact, today is December the 12th, the year 2020, the week in which we have celebrated the incredible exploits of Dory Miller, Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941, 79 years ago. but Army Navy meets today at the United States Military Academy at West Point. And of course, Army Navy, it's about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So in your household, you and the Colonel, you're gonna be on both sides of the room on this thing today, the Army Navy football game, right?
Well,
Kind of bringing it up,
Well, I mean,
it's gonna happen today,
It's going to happen today, though. So it's one of those things where, neither one of us went to the academy or West Point, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
but what's your undergrad school?
Sir?
What was your lovely lady's undergraduate school?
She went. Oh, yes, sir. She went to Duke University.
Oh, she went to Duke. The Duke Blue Devils. Wow.
Yeah.
I know Duke well because I got my master's from North Carolina Central University.
Oh, yeah.
From Cameron Indoor Stadium. Oh, let me just shut up. Your wife goes to Duke.
And she got
getting too nice as mother.
Well, hold on, sir. She got her master's from Syracuse.
Oh, she's an orange.
Well, she's a Blue Devil. Don't get me wrong. She's the Blue Devil. I mean, when it comes to basketball season, she's all that, though. But yes, she did get her master's degree from Syracuse.
Did she come up in the Maxwell School? We have some in the military program. I wonder what was her major?
Yeah, it was supply chain management.
Okay, probably in the Whitman School. I know the program well. In fact, Captain Marcus Kennedy, Marcus Coast Guard aviator, finished the program at the Whitman School of Management here at Syracuse University. A lot of great people there. But let's get back. Oh my God, this story is getting too much. Ladies and gentlemen, this is NNOA. I'm Captain Rick Wright, United States Navy retired historian for the great National Naval Officers Association. And today, by the way, we are saluting and celebrating the year of the captains and the colonels in the United States Navy, United States Marine Corps, and the United States Coast Guard, as augmented by our great president, Admiral Sinclair Harris, United States Navy retired surface warfare officer, who's our great president, said this is the year of the captains and colonels, and we have an incredible naval captain being saluted this afternoon, this morning, whenever you're watching this on This is NNOA. Now, all right, the marriage is kicking. My God, Kuwait, that living like a prince, come back home and go back to the Middle East. Now, after Iraq, you get back home, safe and sound, looking pretty, everything is rolling. Where can we find you, Captain Milton Troy III? Where are you? Are you in Washington yet?
Not yet, sir. So from Mechanicsburg, I went back to Mechanicsburg just to pick up my bags.
Oh.
And then I went to U.S. Fleet Forces in Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh, Norfolk. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm from Elizabeth City, so that's a few miles from Norfolk. And
yes, sir.
Forces Command. What were your responsibilities in that billet, Captain?
So I was a services officer at Fleet Forces. For the first half, I was a services officer, and what I was in charge of was everything from postal to ship store operations to food service for the whole U.S. Fleet Forces. So I was kind of the liaison to make sure that policy was in place for all the different TICOMs as relates to the services lines of effort for the Navy. So I started out doing that for the first half, and then they shifted me up to the comptroller office, and then I was the lead for financial improvement and audit readiness for the Navy, also known as FIRE. So I did that for actually for a year. And so both job titles, I guess, yes, a lot of exposure as a services officer.
Oh, this is incredible. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about the home of the Atlantic Fleet, Norfolk, Virginia. And we got Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard all over the place. And Captain Milton Troy III is he's a guy in charge. He's making things happen. Got a lot of money, a lot of everything. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
And the other part, the FIRE job, the financial improvement job, that's kind of when the Navy was first starting to talk about Navy audits from a full financial perspective, though. So that was a little interesting, though, because again, trying to get the Navy to understand, accounting for our resources. but also making sure that it kind of aligns with what best industry practices are. So let's just say there was, some heads that were butting, trying to figure this whole thing out, though. But I think we've come a long way since then, though. So, but it was a great tour.
And you learned a lot, though. I mean,
I learned a lot.
That incredible education you got, and you probably saved the Navy a lot of money and let some new policies and procedures on the table with regards to audit and handling the monies of the United States Navy.
Yes, sir. It was a start.
Yeah. Now, yes, hey, Washington's going to finally show up in this story, right?
Eventually, but before I left, Norfolk area, I left there, and then that's when I went to my first command tour, and I left Fleet Forces to go to Little Creek to be the commanding officer for Explosive Ordnance Disposal Expeditionary Support Unit 2, or EOD ESU 2. And so what that command was, so for all of the EOD teams for the Atlantic coast, I was in charge of providing logistic support for all of those teams. And so whether it was maintenance, whether it was medical, whether it was facilities, whether it was transportation, the dive lockers, as far as all the Navy divers, we would provide training for them as well too. So we supported that mission. I would deploy small teams to deploy downrange with the different mobile units. I would tell you, again, Kuwait was great, but when it came to job satisfaction, being able to, at this time I was in 05, being able to be with the young sailors on a daily basis and to truly be committed to the mission, it was phenomenal.
Little Creek.
Little Creek. Yes, and just for a timeline perspective, right before I took command, I think it was May or June. I can't quite remember. I think it was June, and that April is when we got married. Me and my bride, we got married. So newlywed, brand new command, and it was great. So
hey,
I love that tour.
Did you get married in the Officers Club there at Little Creek, that beautiful club, the golf course up long?
We had to take it back to South Carolina.
Oh, wow! I forgot you are the folks that shot you. Say, why did you bring that beautiful lady and get married in South Carolina? Yeah.
Hold on now. I took it to Myrtle Beach. So we got married in Myrtle Beach.
South Carolina, Myrtle Beach.
It's right there. It's right next door to us. But Mullins was there.
Okay.
Mullins took the caravan down to Myrtle Beach.
Okay.
So we had a nice wedding there. So anyway, did 2 years as the CEO of EOD Expeditionary Support Unit 2. Great tour. Again, first time being in command, and once you get that taste, you always kind of want it again. So and that was where the bug kind of hit me there. But at that point, I was kind of a mid-grade commander, well, almost a mid-grade commander, almost a senior commander, but not quite there. And when it came time to pick orders, I had to figure out, okay, I'm not in zone just yet. So I had to pick from the 05 list.
Yes.
One time. And so looking at the list, and now mind you, my wife was in DC. So we're doing the Geo Bachelor thing from Little Creek to DC. But the dilemma was I wasn't in zone for 06 yet. And so I didn't want to take a tour to get me to DC and then running the risk of having to get pulled away as an 06. So looking at the list, I raised my hand to be the executive assistant to the Chief Supply Corps at Naval Supply Systems Command, and which at that time was Rear Admiral John Ewan. So I did 1 year as his executive assistant, wore the loop, and it was one of those tours where you can't put a price tag on the education that you received, because he allowed me to see the Navy in its entirety, and just it's one of those things where if you're in the room, you just learn so much. And so that's one of those jobs where I'm always thankful that I had the opportunity to work with such a great leader, as well as to have that exposure though. So great tour.
Now, was that still at Little Creek, or had to move out with like the Dam Neck or somewhere like
Oh,
that?
I'm sorry. I had to go back to Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, this is back to Pennsylvania from
Yes,
Little
sir.
Creek. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
every time I think of Little Creek Naval Base, I had a wonderful experience there where I took Reuben Wright III's grandfather, my father, Mr. Roosevelt Wright's senior. Dad died a number of years ago, but he was a civilian electrician for the Navy, loved the Navy, grew up with it. Of course, my mother also, Ms. Lily Mae Wright, Reuben's grandmother, was also in love with the Navy and the Coast Guard and fed all those sailors. But a lady, his mom had already died, and I had duty in Norfolk. I worked with the public affairs office at Surfland there, and brought Dad up, and he wanted to see some ships. And I never forget, we were going down up Hampton Boulevard, going through the naval base, by Pier 12 and all the ships. And he said, which one of these ships are we going to be going on? I said, well, Dad, we're going to go on board an LST, and we're going to go over to Little Creek. My father remembered LSTs of World War II, all right?
Right.
Rumbling in the car with his girlfriend. Oh, we're going to go see an LST. All right. So, Dad, you'll like it. So we pull up to the main gate, Little Creek Naval Base, pull over to the pier, and there was the USS, the Saginaw, LST. And by the way, that LST's commanding officer was Captain Kenneth Johnson, one of the founders of NNOA. My father had no idea. And we checked up the plank to the ship and saluted the ensign and all. Dad was saluting it. And then the young man took us up to the CO's cabin. And of course, opened up the door, and there was Captain Kenneth Johnson, CO of the USS Saginaw, LST. And my father said, I said, Dad, meet Captain Kenneth Johnson, CO. And of course, he's the founder of NNOA. And I was there to do an article on him. Took a picture of Dad and said, my father was in heaven, man. Tears flew out of his eyes when he saw what was happening. And he said, my God, this is an LST, different from the one in World War II. That's my Little Creek Naval story. And of course, I love going to that hotel at Little Creek and getting that beach in the summertime. Now, go back to Mechanicsville. You're up in Pennsylvania. More training, and after you leave there, what happens?
And so part of being the EA is, well, at least that's what was told to me. You got to get exactly what you want. And at this point, I'm selected for captain.
Okay.
And my wife, again, is still in DC.
Okay.
And she's, again, she's still in Army. She's still charging forward and everything. So I'm like, okay, I need to get to DC. I've been married this long. And and me and my wife have not lived together because we've been geo-bachelor the whole time.
Yeah,
so that's when I get my assignment to DC. And I was assigned to the Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Financial Management and Comptrollers, that organization, but in the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Financial Operations, or what some people know as FMO. So in layman's terms, I was assigned to the office that reported to the Secretary of the Navy that did all of the financial reporting for the Department of the Navy. For the Department of the Navy.
Department of the Navy, with Marines all of hanging on to it. And then the Coast Guard when needed. Oh, God.
No, not the Coast Guard. Yeah. So I was,
when needed. That's.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so yeah, brand new captain. Captain select. But because I was working on the Secretariat staff, they could frock you up. They frocked me. Okay. So I had the then Assistant Secretary of the Navy for Financial Management and Comptroller, Dr. Susan Rayburn, political appointee. She did the frocking ceremony. We did it at the Pentagon. Great ceremony. A lot of people came out, and actually, I don't know if Admiral Harris remembers this though, but he came to the after party.
Admiral Harris showed up.
Yeah, he showed up. So he didn't make the ceremony, but he showed up to the after party. Okay. And he said something, and I'm not sure if he remembers though, but I got to say it though. He said, "Congratulations, Milt. Don't be an 06, be a captain." And there's a difference. There's a difference though, and those words still stuck with me though. So sir, if you're listening, so thank you for those words of encouragement though, because we don't need any more 06s. We need some captains to lead. and lead like a captain does. So,
lead like a captain, that can lead to even greater heights in the United States Navy Officer Corps. Admiral
yes, sir.
Sinclair Harris.
I had to throw that in there though. So yeah.
Hey, he's checking it out. I'm sure when we finally get a
Yes,
chance
sir.
to put this incredible podcast. This is NNOA, Captain Rick Wright, United States Navy retired, historian for the National Naval Officers Association. And of course, this is NNOA, is produced and directed by Roosevelt Reuben Wright III, graduate of Syracuse University. We broadcast live from upstate New York. Now, Captain Troy the third.
Yes, sir.
What a story. Now,
Yes, sir.
Washington, but finally are we getting close to Newport now? Are we getting close to where you are?
We are within inches from Newport now, though. So again, so
Okay.
I did that tour, but I needed, so to put in the context, again, working at the secretariat level, again, we were in charge of financial reporting but also financial audit. So I got that first taste when I was in 05 in forces. But now I'm at the main office that is running it for the whole Navy. Before I was kind of running, Department of the Navy.
Everything.
Department of the Navy. And so the lone military person there, so working with all these CPAs and certified, public accountants and all that though. And I would tell you, for those, that are considering working at the secretariat level, you don't really truly know the Navy until you've worked at all echelons. Yeah. And that was such an eye-opening experience though. And while I was in that job, I was selected for Major Command. And
you are now at the highest levels. By the way, are those officers at the Pentagon and also at the Navy Yard too, aren't they?
Yes, sir. So actually my main office was at the Navy Yard though, but my boss's, yes, sir. But my boss's boss was at the Pentagon. So I spent a lot of time on the Metro or the shuttles and, going back and forth though. So I was running, but I will tell you, it was an amazing experience. You don't know the Navy in its whole entirety until you've seen it at that level.
At that level. Boy, your career path has been perfect. I never forget the first NNOA symposium and convention that I attended when I first learned about NNOA. Commander John D. Fontroy, United States Navy JAG Corps, was the president, and he was a Superior Court judge for Washington, D.C. But I never forget walking into the ballroom of the Waterside Hotel in Norfolk, Virginia, summer of 1982. And I'm telling you, I was blown away seeing the array of African-American Naval, Marine, and Coast Guard officers. And the keynote speaker that kicked things off that day was the second graduate of the United States Naval Academy at Annapolis, Admiral Lawrence Chambers. And you know what his speech was that day? Because many of the brother and sister officers some of their first duty spots was Washington, D.C. They hadn't even been out of the fleet yet. And Admiral Chambers got up and started admonishing her, said, look, I want all of you to get out of Washington, get out of D.C., get out in the fleet and do what you're supposed to be doing so you can move up here. Y'all here in Washington partying and having a good time, wearing uniform, get out into the fleet. And you got out into the fleet before you got to Washington. What a story.
Yes, sir.
Now, Captain Milton Troy III, the orders come down to your present situation that you have in the United States Navy, which is absolutely spectacular. Tell this incredible audience this afternoon or morning, whenever they are listening or watching, what your present incredible responsibilities for the Navy includes. What now? They're in Newport, Rhode Island.
So, sir, I am the commanding officer for Center for Service Support. And what that entails is we have right now 4 subordinate commands that report to us in the services, logistics, the admin, media, those types of lines of effort for the Navy though. So if I was to talk to somebody at the Chamber of Commerce, I'm the dean for the Navy's business and admin training for the Navy. And so those schools entail Navy Technical Training Command in Meridian, Mississippi, which is the A school for the personnel serviceman rating, the yeoman rating, the logistics specialist ratings, the ship services ratings. I think that's it though. So that's basically. Oh, I'm sorry, the culinary specialist.
Yes,
And
cooking food, huh?
Yes, and the mass communication specialists that are in. So basically, that command has 3 sites. One in Meridian, that's the main place.
Yes.
Fort Lee for the culinary specialists, and then Fort Meade for the mass communication specialists, which is probably near and dear to your front.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. So that's one command that supports to me. I have a 05 officer that's down there that reports directly to me. Then there is the Navy Service Support Advanced Training Command, which is headquartered out of Dam Neck, Virginia. And there we do, I guess, what would be the advanced courses for those particular ratings, as well as courses like DAPA, drug alcohol prevention, that type of course, SEMIO, instructor development, some other courses. We have sites literally around the world that kind of delivers trainings on those particular lines of effort. And then I have another command that's in Little Creek, Virginia, and you'll never guess this, but the Navy School of Music. So,
oh God, yes, the Navy School of Music. You know, Fred Wesley, the great composer, director, James Brown, the godfather of soul. He finished the music school there at Little Creek. He was telling that story many years ago when he came up to visit us here in Syracuse. And Reuben Wright III played all of his but I'm talking about the great Fred Wesley of the James Brown, godfather of soul R&B band. Yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
We was talking about going to Little Creek and the Navy Music School there. So you got your command too. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got an 05 that's in charge of that school. And again, being a supply corps officer, I never would have thought that I would have the Navy's version of Juilliard that reports to me. It's a phenomenal command. I would tell you, you know, if you're ever in that area, you want a tour, call me up and I'll make sure that you get a tour, because it's an amazing school that where we're producing the Navy's musicians, though, which most of them coming off the street have postgraduate degrees.
Yeah,
they're that phenomenal, though. So I have that school, and then I have the Navy Supply Corps School. So that school reports to me as well, too, though. So
your own area. Now you're in command.
Exactly, that's it.
And gentlemen of the National Naval Officers Association, the year of the captains and colonels of the Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard, we have our superstar on air this afternoon or this morning, whenever you're viewing or listening to. This is NNOA, our great podcast. Now, Captain, we've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in his holy word. He has not failed us yet. That was great. The last Moffett Horner on active duty was the Western, I think he was the Midwestern vice president of NNOA back in the 1980s. And his name was Captain Tom McFadder, CHC, chaplain. I just heard a little rumor that the whole chaplain corps is going to be under your command very shortly. Is this a rumor, or, you know, through my you know, my connections with the Navy? Is that story on target?
So that is coming next fiscal year. Okay, it's coming next fiscal year. So the chaplaincy school that will be added to the portfolio. I will be gone by then, but yes,
but still it's on its way.
Yes, that is on the way. We also have the Human Resources Center of Excellence that recently came under us as well too. So all the HR officers, that training now falls under Center for Service Support as well too. So so when I took command, I had this much. Now I got this much, and when I leave, somebody else is going to have that much. Yeah. So it's
But basically, you are really in command of the lifeblood and the veins of the United States Navy throughout the entire world. What an incredible! We are so proud of you, Morehouse. Oh, we're so proud of you, Captain.
Yes, sir.
Troy III, Mullen, South Carolina. Now,
yes, sir.
This is NNOA. Captain, boy, I could talk to you for a lifetime. We got a few more areas to go, and I know you're busy out there in Newport. But first of all, what does NNOA mean to you, and how did you discover the National Naval Officers Association?
So for me, my first engagement with NNOA happened when I was a midshipman. It happened my senior year, and I'll never forget it though, because my senior year, I was getting ready to get commissioned, and a group of us had heard about NNOAs having their conference. This was May of '95, well, spring of '95, that was going to happen at Quantico. So again, a bunch of my buddies, we caravan. I had just bought my Ensign mobile, because the banks give you that money prior, that loan prior to that.
Get them pretty cars, man. Sports cars. Yeah.
So I had that 3 BMW 325 loaded down.
Okay.
A bunch of us. So we got on the highway in our dress blues, midshipman dress blues, and we showed up. And for at the time, okay, this is going to be a road trip. We're going to have a good time and all that though. But when we got there, and to the legacy of that time that was there, again, we always knew that we needed to rely on the folks that came before us, going through an HBCU and going through that experience though, but just to be around that many military folks that look like us. It was impressive, and it was also lay the groundwork, because again, we were just midshipmen. Grade the groundwork post commissioning though. So that was my first experience. I would say, like most folks, well, I'm gonna say most folks, but like some folks, my participation has had its ebbs and flows.
Roger that.
Because of operational commitments that were going on. But to me, NNOA is one of those organizations that should be the common denominator for all officers to lean towards when it comes to championing inclusion and diversity. But also that network to rely on, to know that, hey, someone that went before you has done or experienced what you've gone through. And so I think thinking about being that ensign aboard Normandy, swapping with the only Black officer on there, a lot of pressure is put on you. A lot of eyes are put on you, not just from your junior sailors, but from your other counterparts, your peers. Everyone's judging you. So what is that network what is your refuge to kind of sort through those types of things, not just from a technical perspective, but from a mental perspective though. And that's what NNOA has done for me over the years. Again, like I said, it's been ebbs and flows as far as my participation though, but I made it a point to I don't know if you see my lapel pin, I got my life member, lapel pin there. Because again, I think we have to be committed to this organization now. And one of the things I do like about NNOA today is not just the mentors, the folks that have come before us from historical, talking to leaders like yourself, sir, that remind us of where we've been. But I also think we have enough leaders to kind of draft a new blueprint for what our folks, the junior officers, are going to need to survive. What you all have done is, we can't put a price tag on the sacrifices that you all have made for us. Same thing, coming up 25 years now for me, 25 plus years now, the things that we've done. But when I look at this new generation, we draw upon the past, we look at today and craft a blueprint for them in the future though. And I'm excited about that though. And I think, so for NNOA to still stay relevant and in the game, that's so important for the future of our Navy. Not just, those of color, but all naval officers though. I mean, because again, I think the value that we have by being inclusive and creating a diverse workforce basically, increases readiness, our lethality, and makes us the strongest Navy that we're going to need, from now into infinity, because we're definitely going to need it in the future. And NNOA is an active and relevant organization to ensuring mission readiness and ensuring the security of our nation moving forward. Though, so again, it was that in the past,
Captain. Yeah.
And it's essential to the future. We have to have groups like NNOA, and so all of these different affinity groups that champion the need for an inclusive environment, because that's the only way we're going to recruit and retain the best and the brightest. That's the only way we're going to do it. So,
well, Captain. Oh, yes, Milton Troy III. You're on the board of directors of the National Naval Officers Association, and you are the naval rep. So basically,
I'm the co-rep.
You're the co-rep. That's right. We have another lieutenant commander. Yep. Yes.
And to me, and again, that's by design. By basically what I just said. Again, I'm, to a lot of the JOs, I'm the gray beard. I'm the old fart in the room, though. But my co-rep, Decretia Nolan, lieutenant commander, she has a reach that I can't get to. Yeah. I can reach up and I can reach down, but she can reach a little bit, further. So teaming together, I think that's the bridge that, to me, for the Navy, as far as how we're going to maintain keeping recruiting and retaining the best and brightest. So yeah, I want to make sure that folks know that I'm the co-rep, but Decretia, the Lieutenant Commander Decretia Nolan, who's I think is getting ready to deploy, that working together, that's how we keep ourselves relevant, and just makes it more optimal though. So, but yes, I'm the co-rep.
Co-rep. Well, look,
yes,
Captain, we're getting down. I know where you visit. I could talk to you for a lifetime, but the Great Terry College of Business at the University of Georgia, the Bulldogs, between the hedges, where they play football. And of course, by the way, everybody, we're dealing with a pandemic right now. Vaccine has been found or discovered, and we should be getting things a little better under control in the year 2020. This has been a challenging year, but you have put together such an incredible career in the United States Navy. The big alumni magazine down at the University of Georgia just did a big article on you. What's this, 40? What's this, 40 over 40 or 40 under 40 or some kind of a big kind of award in that area? But hey, I read the article that they did on you. It is fantastic. Now I'm going to hit you with an interesting question about that article. The article starts out with your father giving you a birthday present for your 16th birthday. And it was an old, Oldsmobile Bobcat or car or whatever.
Mercury Bobcat.
Oh, Mercury Bobcat.
Yeah. So because Ford and Mercury are kind of the similar, make. So Mercury Bobcat, Ford Pinto. Same thing.
And
And
the one that your father gave you, this baby was not running. It had all kinds of problems.
Well, it was running. It was running, but it was running. That was the ugliest car I've ever seen in my life. It had 4 speeds. It had a hole in the floor. The radio sounded like, it was buzzing and everything. You had to lift the door up just to close it, though. It would overheat. But it ran. It did run. I will say that, though. Okay. And so, growing up in Mullins, there was a lot of lessons that I learned. Whether it was, and that was just another teachable moment for my dad to say, okay, let me see how you take care of this car.
Are you going to get that baby painted up, fixed up, and be ready to pick up the beautiful lady at the prom with
Well, that was the plan, but I did keep it up. I changed the oil, I washed it every week. I didn't really get a paint job though, because that was a little bit outside of my my budget though. But the basic things I nurtured that car.
And again, that was point A to point B during those incredible years of growing up in Mullins, South Carolina.
And I had friends that didn't have a car though, so they laughed at first, but towards the later on they're like, "Hey man, can you give me a ride?" And my response was, "Sure." give me some gas money. That was always a response back then, though. And
Yeah.
give me some gas money, though. So,
hey, I'm an old radio guy. Spent a lot of time in radio. Did you have a workable radio in there playing the music, man? With in the back, rear speakers and stuff? Were you able to put that too?
Oh man. So I bought a radio, and I tried to install it myself, so I never quite fit right. So every bump, the tape would skip.
Yeah.
Because back then I didn't have CDs though. The tape would skip or something like that.
Okay.
And then and then trying to find speakers is like, man, I can save my money instead of going to Radio Shack and buying speakers like that. I got some house speakers in the house.
Yeah.
I just take them and I just wire them. Run the wire through the back and put the house speakers in the back. And so mind you, it wasn't like a Bose system or anything like that though. It was the wooden speakers that everybody used to have though, but it was in the back. So I was rolling, and I was able to play my music. I just couldn't hit too many bumps.
Yeah,
because the tape was skipped though. So
but you still got the A to B as you listen to George Clinton with Tommy.
Absolutely, of course. Well, yeah, absolutely.
As we get ready to close, I brought up the late. No, George Clinton's still alive. He just retired.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, he's
and he's an honorary mayor too.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring that in because really, at one of our great conclaves, you were presented with one of the top military awards in the United States for your great, incredible career in the United States Navy, presented by the brothers of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, a conclave. And I think that was the Colonel Young Award, wasn't it, Charles, who rode the white horse?
So I got the Colonel Charles Young Award twice.
Okay.
One at the chapter level, and then one for the 3rd district, and then that was 2014. Yeah, my years are running together though.
Don't worry. You got the award. That's the key thing.
Yeah. So I got the Colonel Charles Young for the 3rd district. For the fraternity, and then at the 2018, I got the Salute to the Military Award. So each service got one person, officer and enlisted, that was recognized, and I was the officer that was recognized at the 2018 conclave in New Orleans. And and actually, I got that award, and it's a big portrait, picture. It's got a picture of Colonel Charles Young. It's got some other memorabilia though. So, but my dad couldn't make it that year, so I gave it to him. So again, my dad is. And
he was an Army. Oh, what?
Yeah. Well, he's size 62.
Yeah.
Omega as well. So he has that down in Mullen stuff. So.
Well, what a story. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Colonel Charles Young, United States Army, was the 2nd African-American graduate, either the 3rd graduate of United States Military Academy at West Point. And of course, the brother was up for general, and the Army said, you're not qualified, you're not physically fit. So to prove that he was physically fit, he rode a white horse from Dayton, Ohio to Washington, D.C. to prove that he was physically fit. And that's the story of Colonel Charles Young, United States Army, as we get ready for the Army-Navy football game at 3 o'clock this afternoon on the 12th of December, the year 2020. It's coming from the Academy. Well, Captain Milton Troy III, Naval Rep for the National Naval Officers Association, Board Director, now commanding officer, one of the biggest and most needed commands in the United States Navy. Great African-American story. The Golden 13 are smiling in heaven this afternoon. And Bill, I know you're busy. Let me let you go. I think we've been going for a little time here, and Roosevelt Reuben Wright III is the executive producer. This is NNOA. I'm Captain Rick Wright, historian for the National Naval Officers Association. And to all of our brothers and sisters in the Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, Public Health Service, and the Navy and the National Oceanographic Administration, and under the command of Admiral Sinclair Harris, Captain Troy III Morehouse. Man, I tell you, this has been most emotional for me. What an incredible naval career that you have blazed. Thank God for you and all that you do. And to all of our brothers and sisters of the National Naval Officers Association, the year of the captains and colonels. Hey, to the Marines out there. Hey, remembering General Jerome Gary Cooper, all you Marine officers, you coming up too, and also all you great Coast Guard officers in the United States Coast Guard, remembering Captain Bobby Wilkes this afternoon, the first African-American Coast Guard aviator. You're coming up too very soon on This is NNOA. Captain Milton Troy III, bravo Zulu to you. I salute you. You enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, God is on the throne with your naval career. This has been a blessing. And to all your folk down in Mullen, South Carolina, brothers go work it out. He's done it for you all. And hey, you better run for mayor, just give it to him. All right. South Carolina. Okay, Captain, I'll get to you, man, and talk to you. And again, ladies and gentlemen, you can enjoy this by going to the National Naval Officers Association website, and Quan, our great webmaster, and Reuben Wright III, Executive Director. Bravo Zulu to you. Have fun. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
And by the way, go Navy. Beat
Army.
On this big Tory Miller 79th year celebration of his exploits at Pearl Harbor. Captain Rick Wright, United States Navy, signing off. Check you next week with another big band show. Out.